Hi guys, welcome back to Fiery Love 1111. I'm here and I'm going to do a quick reading for you, but I'm going to do it in a different way because I actually had a question from one of my subscribers and they asked me, it was a pretty simple question. Um, how do I know? And I know exactly what that question meant. Understand the concept of the question and everything that was within it. And the question was simply, how do I know what I know when I do a reading? And so, what that shows me is that other souls out there are also trying to learn to tap into their intuition too. And so, I just want to I'm going to do a reading, but then I'm also going to explain to you how I do know what I know. And so, maybe by me doing this, along with my other deck of cards here, like the rest of the deck, um, just kind of help you guys also tap into your intuition. So it's a kind of like a little bit of an exercise we're going to do, okay? So, I just pulled out a few cards and haven't looked at them or anything, and we're just going to do a reading. And then I'm going to tell you what comes to me, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit after each card, and then maybe we'll talk in the end. And this will also help you decipher the difference, okay? Because, it's always a matter of the difference between your ego that talks to you and your higher self. And this is where the complication comes in, because people think that they're listening to their intuition when it's really their ego. Because their ego will butt in anytime, any place, anywhere it can get. It can get itself heard, and it can protect you. Okay, so just picture like, this is your ego and it's in a little box. And everything that's also in that box is you, right? So anything that's within this box, the ego is going to protect, right? But your higher self, just kind of picture, okay, so like, let's just say this, the high priest, which is also the Hierophant, right? Like this is the box and this is the ego, okay? And anything that's within this box, the ego is going to protect, which is you. But your higher self is up here, right? It doesn't concern itself with the ego. It doesn't care what the ego thinks. So the higher self is what you're going to try to get to. So in order to do this, in order to get to the higher self and quiet the ego, there's steps you have to take, which is always quieting the mind, because the ego is a part of the mind, the brain, that chatters and chatters and chatters and chatters and just doesn't stop, right? And, it's also that protective thing and tries to tell you what to do, when to do it, why you should do these things in order to stay safe, stay secure. No one else will hurt you. No one else will get to you, whatever. That's all the ego, right? But as soon as you quiet the mind, literally sit in silence and stay in silence and not let your mind talk to you, that's when all of a sudden that connection comes in from your higher self. And the higher self, and the difference is, the ego is usually frightful. The ego has fear attached. It has negative connotations to it, right? Because it doesn't want you to venture outside of this box, quote unquote, so you don't get hurt. But the higher self will always ask you, does this really serve me? The higher self always asks you questions on how you can grow, how you can better yourself. It never instills fear. Your higher self will never scare you. The higher self will challenge you. Your higher self will give you questions to ponder because of free will, right? But your higher self always wants us to grow. It always wants us to expand to the next level. Always will push us to the next level by loving support. So that's a big difference between the ego and the higher self. Okay, now let me just think of let me just think of an example here. Okay. So, all right. So, let's just look at this card. Let's just do a message on this, okay? And you just pretend you're a reader too, or a tarot card reader, or let's just tap into your intuition and see what this says to you. What's the first thing this says to you? I'm talking about listening to your intuition, okay? What is the first thought that comes to you? So think of this. If it's anything fear-based, then it's your ego talking. All right? And if it's anything that just comes to you like that, like a snap, like, oh my gosh, I just had a vision of, a certain person, as my soulmate, or a soul connection that I have, or my twin flame, or something like that, and a whole bunch of little pictures come in your mind, maybe like a little mini movie. That's how it works for me. Okay, it's like a little mini movie, but within that movie, I see and feel and know everything within that. I know the intentions, I know the fears, the everything. It's like literally living the movie of whatever's going on in this. Okay, so that's how it works for me. And how I got to that point, the only way I got to that point was to keep quieting my mind. I had to keep shutting down that ego that tries to instill fear, that tries to make us fearful, that says you can't, that you shouldn't, that what are people going to think about you if you start being this way, right? That's the ego. That's the ego that's standing with his hands on his hips and blocking you from your higher self, telling you, what are other people going to think, right? That's your ego. But your higher self's on the other side saying, hey, here I am, and I'm loving, and I'm ready to support you, and I'm ready to help you see the truth of who you really are. That's your higher self. So you just have to really keep practicing it, and practicing and practicing and practicing, and listening to that higher self and shutting down that ego that makes us fearful. This is how I know. Okay, I trust my intuition over anything else. I don't worry about what anybody else thinks about me. First of all, I don't give a crap about that. I don't care about, anything that's fear-based is always ego. I push past that. I shut that down right away. It's a no-brainer for me. As long as I shut that down and listen to my higher self, all the knowings that I need to know just come like that. They just come and they just flow right into me. And I don't question it. That's the other thing. Don't question what comes. Okay, you may not understand it at first, but in time, the understanding will come. The big pieces, the pieces will start coming together of the bigger picture. So that's what our higher self always tries to show us. Our higher selves always try to show us that bigger picture. Because the ego is involved in the living of the day-to-day life, right? Their survival, making food, feeding our families, making money, having a roof over our head, fitting in, blah, 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 blah. That's the flippin' ego, right? Which, I can't say that it's not needed. It is needed in this lifetime on this earth plane, but only for certain things. When we start to allow our ego to rule our lives and shut down our higher selves, then that's when we get lost. That's when we get dissatisfied. That's when we start losing love of our own lives, because there is so much more to what we're made of. We're not made here just to live by our egos. We're not made to come here just to make a buck and feed our families and hem and haw and watch TV. And there's more to us, and we all search for that. Deep down, every single one of us searches for that higher meaning. And when we quiet that mind and quiet the ego and listen to our higher selves, Spirit says that's when we get that guidance that we've always wanted to. And the funny thing is once that guidance starts coming in, we recognize it. We recognize that is our higher self. That is our higher self, because our higher self is connected to everything and everyone. And it's this knowing, it's a knowing that comes into us. We don't know how we know it, right? Because we're we are souls living in a human body, so we're limited by how much well, actually, in truth, we're not limited. We're only limited by the perception that we can grasp. In truth, but we are unlimited. The more we tap into our higher selves, the more we realize we are so unlimited, and so we have so much potential when we just let that ego go and listen to our higher selves. There's so much potential that just flows, and it flows, and it's just a knowing. You start to see the interconnectedness of all beings. All beings. I don't mean just in the human realm. I mean animals, plant life. It is all an interconnected, beautiful, beautiful maze of life. And these knowings just come in and they flow. So when I do these readings, it's just a knowing that comes in. It's a knowing. To put it in simple terms, I'm like a mailman. And I just deliver the messages, but I try not to interpret them, because whoever this message is for, they can interpret them. They'll know the understanding. They'll get that meaning, right? I just try to deliver the messages. I just let them flow into me. I literally let them flow into my head. And it's just this knowing. It's just this complete knowing. And the wonderful thing about what I do is that how fast it happens, and how much I see, and how much I can hear, and how much I can feel. Because I'm not just an intuitive and a psychic and a medium. I'm clair everything. I'm clairaudient, clairsentient, a clairvoyant. I feel, hear, see, taste, smell the other side. I can connect with all of that, but it happens so fast. The spirit realm is so much faster than the slow, dense earthly plane. The messages can come just I can get in a minute's time. There's so many messages that can just come flying in and flying in and flowing in and flowing in, and in spirit, my higher self and the universe knows they have to slow it down in order for me to interpret it into words and get the messages to go across fast enough or slow enough to understand. You know what I mean? So, but what it all just boils down to, when this person asked me, how do I know? It's just that inner trusting. It's that inner trusting, and not. So when you want to really connect with your higher self, and you quiet the mind, and you want to start seeing the unlimited possibilities, you should be prepared for it. Be prepared to be astonished. Be prepared to be astounded. Be prepared to be amazed. Because it's going to throw you. It's really going to throw you once you realize, that instead of, just this person in this ego self that's 3D, all of a sudden you start to feel your auric body and your astral body that's expanding way out here. And then the more that expands, the more it connects to others, the more you feel that interconnectedness, and it just expands and expands. And the more you can handle, the more the teachers will give to you. Do you know what I mean? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So just let the ego go and tell yourself this sentence, okay? I tell myself this. I release myself from any preconceived ideas, notions, or thoughts. All right? When you're asking your higher self to come in and show you something, or your spirit guides to come in and show you something, say that sentence to yourself. Say it with me right now. Okay, repeat this with me. I release myself from any preconceived ideas, notions, and thoughts. And that includes religion, that includes the way I was raised, the way you were brought up, any of those things. Just take all that off the table. Take it all off. And start to see your life in a new way. You release that ego, then this knowing can just flow through. It can just flow in. And the more you trust that, the more you trust that intuition, that you just know it, the more you will see things, the more you will understand it, the more you'll see that interconnectedness of all of us, and the more you will be at peace. I'm telling you, this is how it works. It takes time, it takes effort, even just 5 minutes a day. Just 5 minutes a day. You know, right before you get up in the morning, set your alarm a little early. And set your alarm, you know, like go to bed a little early to meditate, you know, before you start getting really tired. And get up a little earlier if you can. When you have some quiet time, or even just midday or something like that. You know, set aside some few minutes to just quiet your mind from all the little chatter of everyday life and try to start listening to your higher self. And the more you do, and the more you ask those questions, ask the questions, ask to meet your spirit guides. Say, spirit guides, show yourself to me. You know, start asking the questions, because your higher self wants to help you too. Your higher self wants to step in and help you out. Your spirit guides want to help you and step in and help you out. But they can't do it unless you ask, because it's free will. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, because at minimum, and I'm telling you this, this is from personal experience, at minimum, you will be astounded. Astonished. You will look at life in a whole new way once you see this, and once you realize it, once you feel it. It is a knowing that we are all connected, and then that we're so much more than our earthly beings. We are so much more than that. Okay? So give that a shot. Give that a shot. What's it going to hurt? Right? Spirit says, try it. See what happens. And then let me know what happens. Send me an email. Comment below. I want to hear all the stories. I want to hear everything. Tell me what you experienced. And then do it again. And just keep trying it. Keep trying it. You're going to get more and more experiences coming through. You're going to see things differently. Just like Dr. Wayne Dyer said, and I said this in my last video, once you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I'm telling you, it is so freaking true. It is so amazing. I wouldn't take $1 million to go backwards right now from what I've learned. I wouldn't. I'm a changed person, and I'll never go back, because the old me that was even yesterday is not the same me today. It's just so beautiful and so amazing. And I really encourage you, and Spirit encourages you, to ask the questions. Quiet that ego and see what happens. All right? Okay, now I'm going to do a reading, and I'm just going to pull these cards, and I'm going to tell you exactly what comes to me. And when I do this, so, you know, and I get these visions, it's like mini movies. Like I said, it's coming into my head, like from the top of my head down, and it's just rapid. I get visions. I get visions of couples, visions of people, the messages, words. I'll get bold, big bold sentences in my head. I'll get feelings, tastes. Sometimes I'll feel anger, I'll feel sadness, I'll feel joy, I'll feel ecstatic, I'll feel, you know, strong sexual energy, or whatever's meant to come through. I feel it, hear it, see it, you know, because I've learned to trust all those gifts that I have. And it is a huge undertaking, but I really appreciate it. Okay? I really do. So I'm just going to do the reading, and I'm trying to explain it the best I can, but I want you to trust. When I'm done with the reading, I want you to take what resonates and leave what doesn't, but also go with your own intuition on this. So if I give you a reading on this card, but you see something completely different, a story tells you something completely different, go with what your intuition tells you. As long as it's your intuition and not your ego. Okay? Remember that. As long as it's your intuition and not your ego. Go with that. Because don't forget, ego is always fear-based, and our higher selves and spirit and the universe will never instill fear on us. Never. They'll pose questions like crazy and try to challenge you to see yourself in a different light, but they'll never instill fear. Ever. No one should ever instill fear in you. And if they do, you shouldn't listen to them, honestly, because that's not a good way to teach. Okay? So keep that in mind too, please. That you always should trust yourself first. That's what Spirit really wants me to say. Always trust yourself first. Even if you're just starting on this path, trust yourself. Trust how you feel about it. If this doesn't resonate with you and it just makes you mad when I'm done doing this, then don't take it. You don't have to. That's the beauty of free will. But if something triggers you and you hear a word or a sentence or something, and you realize, oh, I feel kind of, like you feel like you're running along that same path that I'm talking about, then listen to that. That's a way for your higher self. Okay, so what I'm getting at is, like, if I say a certain sentence about this and it really hits home for you, right? Then that's almost like your higher self trying to get a message to you. Even if it's just one or two words. Your higher self and your spirit guides, they try to get messages to you however they can. Through music. Through music is a huge for messages. Words for songs, music. Sometimes it is TV and commercials. Sometimes it's a perfect stranger that'll come up and say something to you, and you've never seen them before in your life, but they change your life for the rest of your life. You're not the same person because one stranger said one thing to you that was so beautiful and so astounding. It changes your life. It changes your whole perspective. So pay attention to those, because you never know how you might get a message. You never know. When they say that saying, God works in mysterious ways, so does the universe. So does our loved ones on the other side. So does our spirit guides. So does our higher self. Don't be surprised. Because it'll start coming. And when it starts coming, it's going to start coming rapidly. Once you see it, once you see that, and you have that knowing, and your eyes are just opened a little bit more, and your mind is just opened a little bit more, and you're a little bit more expanded, it's going to just start growing and growing and growing, and it's just going to blow your mind. It's so flippin' amazing. You'll never want to be the same. You're never going to be the same person you were just a few days prior. So don't be afraid. What have you got to lose? Take that jump. Take that leap. Try it. And see what your higher self has to say to help you, okay? All right, let's just get into the reading. Sorry. I just, a lovely reader of mine had that question, and I had to explain. This is how I know, okay? All right, so the first card that's coming out is the High Priest, which is a Hierophant, and I'm immediately getting higher knowledge. Higher knowledge is coming through. This is for soulmates, soul connections, twin flames. It's an immediate higher knowing. This is almost exactly what I was just talking about, okay? There's all this knowing that's coming in, and it's pretty rapid. It's pretty strong. It's an eye opener for this person, whoever it is, and it can be male, female, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so in this deck, the Celtic Dragon Tarot, The high priest is the Hierophant, and chains is the devil. Just so you know, it's different. That's the only two cards that I've seen that are different than regular tarot, but I just thought I'd explain that. But yeah, the high priest is coming in. So there's this higher knowing that's just flowing in and flowing in and flowing in. And he's just getting a lot of knowledge. I don't mean just he as in a divine masculine, but the energy feels more like a divine masculine that the message is coming through for than the divine feminine. But we have divine masculine and feminine energies in us both. So maybe it's the divine masculine side of us. You know, if you're single, that these messages are coming through. And there's just a lot of knowing, a knowing of what is right and wrong, what needs to be done is coming through, okay? And so that's what I'm getting. I just am seeing just a lot of the flow. And he's standing in his power more. The Hierophant is standing in the knowing of this. He knows that the messages he is receiving is from his higher self, is from his higher knowing. Okay, so, and he's sure of it. He's sure of it. He, you know, it's like even if these are messages that are coming through for the first time, it's a knowing. He doesn't know how he knows, he just knows. This is messages that are coming through of a truth and justice. A truth and justice is coming in. It's almost like, in my eyes, I'm seeing this circular thing that's going like this. It's almost like a crown on his head. You know, like a big king's crown. But the crown is the heaviness, the burden of knowing the truth of truth and justice that he's holding on his head now, of the things that he knows he has to do that is right. Okay? You see what I mean? And it's just like flowing in. It's flowing down into his head. He has this almost all-knowing type of energy that's starting to really open his eyes and open himself to the truth. And then, not actually surprisingly enough, the next card that's coming through is, I'm just going to lay them like this just so we have some more the light, because I'm having a little bit issue with the light here. I have no idea why. Yeah, so yeah, the next card is Justice. So the Justice card, okay, I might just lay him out. Let me just see what's going on here. I have the High Priest, which is a Hierophant, and Justice, and then we have the Four of Wands, which always, to me, I always take the Four of Wands as twin flames. So that's just another confirmation that there are twin flames in this reading that I'm talking about. And let me just move some of these cards. And then the next card is, okay, the Ace of Swords, which is new beginnings. And then the Nine of Wands is coming up next, which is a pause. He's pausing while doing, yeah, it is a pause. Okay, and then the Magician. And then I have the Page of Pentacles. And then the Wheel. And then the Nine of Cups. And the Star. So, hold on. Sorry, guys. So, yeah, this is pretty... Hold on. I'm just going to look at these cards real quick. Because I'm going to get this... Yeah, I can just totally... I don't know if your intuition is telling you that, but that's just higher knowing. That's completely surrounding his head. That's all these knowings are coming in. You see, like, it's almost like the world is right here, and that's the knowing of so much knowledge that's coming through of, it's, you know, it's a world of knowledge, you know, it's like a play on words almost, but he is stepping into that higher knowing. He's stepping into that his higher self and letting the ego go, which brings us to justice. It brings him to justice because he sees there's injustices that have been done. The injustices that have been done, he's stepping into justice now. And you can step into justice as an energy in and of itself and take justice upon yourself in order to right wrongs that are in your life. And this is exactly what the High Priestess is doing, what the Hierophant is doing, the Divine Masculine is doing, or the Divine Masculine in us is doing, stepping into and taking justice into our own hands. You see the dragon with the scroll, and he's sitting there with the staff, and he is bringing justice with the Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine. And this is the energy that's just flowing into it. This is making wrongs right. Making wrongs right. This is what I just keep getting from Spirit. And it's definitely about twin flames. Twin flames are coming through very, you know, that's just a solid twin flame card. Anytime that ever comes out and I question it, or I have any question if it's just a soulmate connection, whatever, twin flame, the Four of Wands is always that, okay? But it's also house, it's also home. The, you know, the wrongs have to be right with the person that he loves, because she is his home, he is her home. And this is it's an energy that is a time in and of itself, okay? It is time. And justice, justice is here. Justice is here. Holding that staff, holding that scroll, energetically, okay, in front of the Divine Masculine, in front of the Divine Feminine. It's an energy, so the dragon is an astral energy of energies that help us connect to our higher path, our lessons in life, ways that they can help us. They're always sitting on the side and waiting for guidance, at us to ask for guidance. They're here to help us in all forms. And justice, he's coming in as justice to say, hey, it's time. It's time to make these wrongs right, okay? And it's always the twin flames. And then the Ace of Swords is, hold on, let me just think of this real quick. Let me get the energy of it, okay? A new start, a new direction is what I'm getting. I literally just saw those sentences in my mind. New start, new direction. Okay? And it has to. There has to be a new start, a new direction with justice intervening to bring these new beginnings. And then the Nine of Wands is a pause. After that new start, you stop and take a pause, take a breath, take a breather, and look at these things that I have created. The wands are energy that he has created, and he takes a pause on it. It's always good to take a pause and think about what you do want to create. Okay? And of course, the dragons are here as astral energies to help guide and support. That's what I'm seeing, exactly those sentences in my mind. They're here to help, guide, and support during this pause, during this breath. What's the next step I want to take? What is that next step? And when that next step is ready to come, then this is magician energy, can step forward and transmute those old energies from bringing justice, right? From bringing justice, making wrongs right, transmute that bitch of an energy and just get rid of it. It no longer serves. So the magician is stepping in. We have magician energies within us to transmute old things that we learned, any lessons that we have learned. We can just let them go, and we can transmute that into energies of hope, of new beginnings, a new beginning, a new start. and start forward. Take those energies. Remember those elemental energies I told you about in the last reading? You know, earth, air, fire, and water. We can take those energies and transmute that, right? Fire burns away the old and allows the new to come in. Water is very transformative in being flow, being zen, quieting the mind, listening. Air is thoughts, right? Swords are action. So this is what the magician can do. The magician can do these things. We have magician energies within us. So don't forget that, okay? It's not outside of us. It's always within us. And then what's the Page of Pentacles, right? So the Page of Pentacles is an energy of, let me just look at this real quick. Yeah, it's not just a fresh new start, but it's bringing in prosperity. It's the start of, it is prosperity. This page is seeing themselves as prosperity. They can bring this in and bring this energy into us because they're seeing, because it's okay. So this always tells me this page is also seeing their worth. When they see their worth as being worthy, then you align with the energy of the Pentacles, which is, you know, wealth, gain, abundance, right? Because you are abundant in and of, he can see he's abundant in and of himself, right? So once you realize your own worth, once you see your own worth and feel it and know it, that you are a part of everything that's ever made anything else has made you, then you feel that worth. See his hands on that pentacle, on that golden dragon, which is holding that pentacle, and he knows his own worth. That book of knowledge has taught him that. He has seen his own worth and his own value, and he can connect to that. So the magician energy has helped him see that. And what is that? The next step is the wheel. The wheel of fortune turns because he sees his own worth. Do you see how this is all coming together? And then the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is the second to last one. And that, I mean, look at that. She holds up all these cups, and she's working with that dragon, and she knows her value. It is total value and total worth. And this is just pulling in that power, turning from a Page of Pentacles, right? That wheels turns, and then holding that value, holding it, knowing it, and utilizing that power within yourself. Okay, so it's very strong and very, the Spirit really wants me to emphasize those words. You're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it, you never always do these things for yourself. It always comes from within first. If you want to see it in the outer world, you have to feel it and know it within yourself first. Wealth can't come to you unless you know you're worthy. So holding on to that knowing, that inner knowing is what she's doing. And then what's the last card? Look at how this all comes together. The Star. The Star's wishes fulfilled. The Star is wishes fulfilled, and all of everything that you've ever wanted is the Star's card. The Star's energy. And, okay, you see how they're, you can see the stars, the dragons are flying around with all the planets, and the Star's energy, those beams of light flying all over. That's also the inner knowing. That is attaching, it is our higher selves knowing that we are made of so much more. It is that inner knowing of what we're made of, right? What are we made of? Are we made of just cells and blood and flesh? Or are we made of literally light? We're made of light. We're made of energy. We're made of knowings. I tell myself that all the time. I'm made of knowings. I know things. I know these things. It's just a knowing. And it's beautiful. So do you see how all that came together? Do you see how beautiful that is? Sorry, my phone doesn't want to what in the heck is my phone not adjusting? Sorry, but yeah, there it goes. The high priest and bringing in justice, and it just confirms it's the twin flames and new beginnings, the new starts, and a pause brings you into that energy of the magician, transmuting old energies, utilizing the elements to transmute these old energies within us. Seeing your worth, just that inner trickling, the inner knowing as a page, very beginnings of knowing your worth and holding on to it and seeing it and embracing it. See, he's embracing that and joyful. He's so joyful because he knows he's worthy. He's as worthy as anybody else. It's not outside of us, right? And then the wheel of fortune, which brings change, good fortune, beauty, everything you've ever wanted. And the Nine of Cups is actually embracing that value, embracing that worth, and then boom, wishes fulfilled. What a beautiful reading. Well, I hope you guys really enjoyed that very first part of the reading where I explained it, how I know. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me, please. You know, you can email me at firylove1111@gmail.com. Comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get any comments or messages that you guys may have. All right, I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.